It was a warm summer evening when 15-year-old Daniel left his home. He told his mother he was only stepping out to the corner store for a soda. She reminded him not to stay out too late. He nodded, smiled, and walked out the door. That was the last time she ever saw him alive. When the hours passed and Daniel didn't return, his mother's worry grew into panic. She called the police, her voice trembling, begging them to help. But the officers dismissed her fears. "Ma'am," they said, "teenagers do this all the time. He's probably just out with friends." No search, no alert, no urgency, just silence. 3 days later, Daniel's body was found in a vacant lot. He had been brutally beaten, left to die alone under the open sky. The evidence suggested a racially motivated attack. Yet the police were quick to close the case. They labeled it gang-related and moved on. But Daniel wasn't a gang. He was an honor student, a boy who loved science, who dreamed of one day becoming an engineer. His teachers adored him. His friends described him as quiet, gentle, and hopeful about the future. To his family, he was the light of their lives. They demanded answers. They begged for justice. But their voices carried little weight. In wealthier neighborhoods, when a child went missing, search parties were organized within hours. Detectives worked around the clock. Media coverage flooded television screens. But here, in Daniel's neighborhood, there were no headlines, no urgency, no justice. The community rose up. Neighbors marched in the streets. They held candlelight vigils. They pleaded for the case to be reopened, but the authorities did not listen. Daniel's death was brushed aside, as though his life mattered less. Years passed, and then an independent journalist stumbled across Daniel's forgotten story. She dug deeper. What she uncovered was shocking. Witnesses had been ignored. A local gang leader's name had been given to police, but they chose not to follow up. Records showed that the department knew far more than they admitted. The evidence had been there all along, yet no one acted. The truth became undeniable. The system had failed Daniel, or worse, it had chosen not to protect him. Daniel's family never received full justice. His killers walked free, but his story spread beyond his neighborhood. It became a symbol of how easily lives in poor and marginalized communities are erased, how countless families cry out for justice, but are met with silence. Daniel was only 15. He had dreams, a future, a life ahead of him, but because of the place he lived and the color of his skin, his story almost disappeared. And so the question remains, how many more families are still waiting unheard? How many more lives will be written off before someone decides they matter?